Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum listeners. Here we are again with another episode of Deenversation. And from now on, I would like Ahmad to be the host and start the show. So over to you, Ahmad.
Thank you very much. Now that I'm the host, it seems that I'm going to be starting and broaching all of our subjects. And the one that we're going to be broaching today is a very hard one to pick at, I think. So I just, wanted to talk about, obviously, the recent development in the Pakistan and India war that just happened. War or skirmish or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, can we kind of dissect that, and can you give us an insight into what you think happened in the war? What's the general view on the war? Because is it really clear that we won? Like, who's the winner in this?
Okay, that's a good question. So the question is, who is the winner of this war?
Yeah.
I think it's very important to understand. And for that, we need to take a step back and come out of all the emotionally charged discussions of this score and that score, and we killed so many and they killed so many and we destroyed so many and all of that. That did happen. It's good to keep a score. It's good to know where you stand. But wars are not games. That means it's not like a game of cricket or football in which you have to score one goal more or one run more than the other and you win. Rather, wars have objectives. And for Muslims, wars are an integral part of Sharia. So it's our foreign policy. And it's a hukm shari which we do. And the hukm shari is not just to fight. And it's not just to inflict losses on your enemy. Rather, there is a purpose behind it. And in this case, the purpose should have been clear as daylight from day one. And the purpose should have been the liberation of Kashmir. So, if you look at the lingo that was used by the Pakistan army, that was very clearly and positively Islamic. So, even the name of the operation, Bunyanum Marsus. So it's very clearly, so they're talking about a concrete wall or a cement wall, that Muslims are like that when it comes to fighting, a united front when it comes to fighting. But then we see that all of a sudden, all of it just vanished. There comes an order from the Pharaoh of Washington, Trump, and we agreed to a ceasefire.
Yeah, but we agreed because, I mean, did we really win this war? Were we winning? Were we in the lead?
So, again, if you look at international observers, so forget about what Pakistan and India are saying.
Because, India has discredited so many of Pakistan's claims.
Yeah, but worldwide, I think it has become clear, specifically in the aftermath of the war, and many analyses are suggesting that, and even Indians are not denying that their jets fell. Okay, so they're not giving the exact number, but they are saying that it happens in war. We know for sure that Rafales fell, so they were shot down. It's the first in history that a Rafale was downed in a combat situation. So this is a huge success which should not be undermined in any way. Then we know that their S-400 battery defense system, which was provided to them by the Russians, which cost around $1.5 billion, that was destroyed and it got dysfunctional. And then we listened to Pakistani Air Force tapping into and recording their planes' pilots' recordings, what they were talking at that time. I mean, this is significant that they are showing us, they're telling us and giving us their communications. So it seems, if you ask me, it seems that Pakistan had a complete upper hand. And that's also clear from 2 days ago when the war started. Trump was giving statements that let them fight it out and it's their problem and America will not get involved.
Sure.
And then just once Pakistan starts bashing India so badly that they start losing their planes, they start getting hit by missiles, their drones are not getting them anywhere and are like falling from the sky like apples,
Sure. Yeah.
then America suddenly comes in and calls for a ceasefire.
Is
So
that not what we want, though? What did we gain from further pursuing the war? Because if our end goal was liberating Kashmir, then to what ends would we go to do that? And there's probably a limit to our power also. If you look at India's economy, India's GDP, India's army itself, it really is maybe a technologic. This war aside, I think they are stronger than us on paper.
yeah, so that's exactly the point that we need to understand. So the discussion shouldn't be about numbers here and numbers there, size here and size there, technology here and technology. That's not the comparison. That's not how wars are fought or even wars are won.
Sure.
Wars are won by the resolve of the people to fight, the resolve of the people to win. And as you
But resolve gets you very, very, like, it doesn't get you very far. It just doesn't, because let's say that India gets the upper hand tomorrow, and they might decide to just destroy the state of Pakistan just for the fun of it. If we lose in the war, if we lose in a big war, and we have much to lose.
No, that's not possible actually. Really, it's not like a child's play. Destroy Pakistan. If America, together with its 40 allies, 40 odd allies, could not destroy Afghanistan or destroy the Taliban or take them out in 20 years after spending more than $2 trillion, or if Israel, with all its military might that we have been made to fear for decades, couldn't take out one single hostage out of the 250 odd prisoners of war, I would say, which the Mujahideen in Palestine had taken. I don't think you can't. Wars are not won just by having more hardware and dropping bombs. You have to put soldiers on ground. You have to put boots on ground. And the only nation, I would say, who is ready to fight and die actually is Muslims, because we have this unbelievably powerful concept of attaining Jannah once we are martyred, shaheed, and that is something which gives us a far superior mindset. This Iman gives us such a mindset that you cannot. And that mindset was actually a display. So again, let me take an example of cricket here. So there is a player, we say that he is far superior and the other player is not. We know it's all mindset. If a player goes into the match thinking that I can't play this bowler, he might not stand even there for a single or a couple of balls and he'll be bowled out. Similarly, another person is there and he has the confidence, or the same person, he hits a six and hits another six on the first or second or third ball, and that's it. The bowler would start looking to him like just an ant, so small, and the fear would be gone. This is actually how wars are fought and wars are won. And this is something, we had this moment, we had this deep seek moment, you can call it, for Pakistan, where we have completely dominated India for 3 days, and they had no clue what was going on. And then all of a sudden, instead of following through the same ayat which were recited to us at the beginning of the war, we did not follow through. Rather, what we did was we became secular. We started discussing
because people know what's going to
Geneva
happen.
Conventions.
Because we can attribute maybe at most we can attribute 5% of a war's outcome to mindset. But I don't think attributing any more than that is fair.
I disagree. I would say maybe 5% should be attributed to hardware. Maybe 80% should be attributed to this spirit and mindset and the will to fight. I'll give. And then 15% is maybe strategy. So 80, 15, and just 5 for hardware. Okay, it's good that you asked that. Look, there is this notion that Muslims have actually never fought historically with technologically superior opponents. And it was just the case that they would always be much larger in number. So first of all, being much larger in number, if your opponent is much larger in number, that means a lot already. And we know that very clearly. We Muslims never deny it's ayat in the Quran that few of you are enough for many of them, and the exact numbers are given as well. So we know that. However, what is a technologically superior opponent? So what do you think means superior technology in warfare? So I would say if they can hit farther than you, if they can hit more powerfully than you, so their blast or whatever
Harder
is
than
bigger,
you.
harder than you, and if they can somehow be invincible so that you can't strike them. So whether it's stealth or whether it's some kind of armor that
Sure.
makes you not invincible,
But the
but
thing
that
is
you
that
can't attack.
the way that you're portraying it is kind of like a fantasy land. Like, we have so much to lose. Suppose tomorrow America sanctions us. We don't
No,
have.
just a second. So let me just complete the argument. So I was saying these are some things, right?
Yeah.
Now, historically, Muslims have always fought in the time of the Prophet, and even after that, in the time of the Sahaba, and till now, we have always had opponents which were usually much more technologically superior to us.
Yeah.
And this has never been something because of which we have stopped a war or because which
And we
have
haven't
feared.
always won. We
We
haven't
have
always won.
actually we have been winning from the very beginning till the last few hundred years. So now let me just give you some examples for the audience to know. So the Persians, they were the first ones to bring in elephants. Now just think, elephant is like you are fighting on horses and they are coming with a tank.
Yeah.
It's like armored tank. And Muslims were killed in the thousands. In a single day, thousands of Muslims, including Sahaba, were killed because of that. And then they made a strategy and then they started targeting the eyes of the elephant, and you strike the eye and he would just run amok and he would run over their own soldiers. Similarly, they were wearing full body armor. So they call it cataphract. So even the horse would be armored. Muslims never had that, and that made them like you can't attack them. They would go deep into enemy lines and attack them. Then our bows, they were made up of wood. They were wooden bows, and the Romans, they were making bows from bones and composite material, bones and wooden, and they would be much stronger, much more flexible, and because of that, they would hit harder and they would go farther than a normal. Now, all of these things, and then the Greek fire. So the Greeks, they would had this technology because of some mixture of chemicals which they kept secret. It was a national secret for them, by which they could lit a fire in water, which means that your boats, wooden boats, they were all burned.
It was deemed as magic.
Exactly. So now this is a list. So in warfare, technology does matter, but Muslims have never been fearful and never been dependent on technology. Rather, we do our best, and then we put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Muslims aren't dominant today. That's the problem. Muslims aren't dominant today.
They weren't there then as well.
They don't hold the same mindset that they do
Yes,
that
exactly.
time.
Yeah, I agree. So and you know what Muslims do?
And
So
another thing is
I think our
before-
armies have that mindset. It's the leaders who don't have that
No, but the
mindset.
thing is that before we were kind of independent. Now we have so many big players around us. If we lose, and we lose a lot, we lose the trade with America, we lose the trade with India.
Ahmad, at that time, you think there were no superpowers? There were two superpowers when Rasulullah ﷺ established the state in Medina.
The Romans and the Persians.
Exactly.
And the Romans and the
And
Persians
he-
were warring between themselves also.
Very good point. So aren't the Chinese and the Americans and the Russians...
America would bow down to us if we, started going to war with China.
No, my point is,
Yeah.
so they had problems between them,
Yeah.
and that will always be the case. So whenever they are powers, they have problems. So they want to dominate each other. We challenged both of them at the same time. Rasulullah ﷺ challenged both of them at the
That's
same time.
1,000 years ago. Now we're talking about now. Look at the armies now. Look at the technology now. Look at everything. The odds are against us. It's stacked against us.
so
we're
when
a
you say-
nation.
just
We're a
again-
nation. We're a nation who still takes loans from the IMF, and we fail to repay the earlier ones. We're a nation who used to take aid up until very recently.
We take loans and we take aid and we take all of this because of this system. So we have been enslaved by a system which mandates that we remain poor and we remain dependent. Now, again, when you say look at the times today, I think saying this today, when we have had such a victorious 3 days in war, is.
But I like to call it a spin-off. I like to call this win a spin-off. I like to say that this war was all a game of luck for Pakistan.
Oh, if you look at the detailed press conferences, and you really study where they give you all that happened and that played out and all the
Oh no,
details.
not luck like that, but like luck in the sense that this happened the first time, and then if we had pursued this further, I don't think that anything would have came of that.
Why do you think so?
Because they are just more superior than us, and there would have been bigger players against us.
How do you say that today, really? I mean, look, Pakistan in these 3 days actually has beaten French technology, so Europeans. It has beaten Israeli technologies, the drones, they sent around, I think, 70 drones. Those were Israeli, all of them down. And then they have beaten the Russian technology, the MiX and the S-400 missile defense system that they had. All 3 of them shattered. And there was lots and lots of locally developed communication systems which were used. So it was not just the missiles that they fired PL-15. And
yeah, but with the tank to our economy that we take by them cutting off our trade, or them doing, who says that America won't join in from India's side, or who says that there are just so many factors at play, right?
No, I think again we shouldn't have this defeatist mindset and think that this will happen.
It's not defeatist to think logically, though. It's not defeatist.
Why is this logic? Why should America?
Because if you always think that you're going to go into something with the mindset that you're always going to win, then you're not going to do the proper preparation.
No, we don't go. Sorry, we don't go into this that we're going to win. No, we don't go. We go into this as it's a hukm shari. We go into this that we don't have a choice. We go into this thinking that defeat is an option, death is an option. It's more honorable than not fighting. That not fighting for the cause where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has.
Well, then that's a theological debate, whether or not so many people, you're risking the lives of so many people, so many, dare I say it, so many Muslims posed as atheists in our country who would not be very much happy with us taking this Islamic front to
if you look at the emotion generally when this war was going on, I think it was predominantly
It was a nation
positive.
state thing. It was all a nation state thing. They weren't thinking of themselves as Muslims. They were thinking of themselves as Pakistanis.
No, they were thinking, I don't think so. They were thinking as Muslims defending their land, and a Muslim, just like any other person, is supposed to defend their land, and they were factoring in that we are right, we have a right, and we should be fighting this, and they were happy about it, and they were ready to take the loss of life even, because they know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised Jannah.
That's not the angle that they took on it. The angle that they took was that we are Pakistanis. Pakistan, for the first time in its existence, did something good, did some damage to the enemy, and then they were happy that our country did something. And even after the ceasefire, you didn't see any public outcry from the so-called Muslims that were before the ceasefire, they were going crazy. We didn't see any public outcry.
So what was the name of the operation? Why was that? Where was that coming from?
That's from an ayah, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So why? What did they say that we started?
It's all a front. It's all a front. Politicians use Islam as a front all the time.
Why? Why do they use it? That's the point. Why do they use it? Why do they think they have to use that?
Because our population itself holds an Islamic front.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they don't hold the deeper sentiments. They don't say that.
They don't need to have that deeper. It's really.
If anyone tells them, even if they admit that it's an Islamic responsibility of ours to liberate Kashmir, they're not ready to put life and well-being on the line for that.
I'm again saying, if you look at the social media posts, if you look at the general sentiment, it was very clear.
No, but youth in my school, they were so happy about the ceasefire. Everyone was so happy about the ceasefire.
That's a valid point, and that's where we actually have to educate the Ummah. Why were they happy? Because they thought, as I was saying in the beginning, they thought it's like a cricket match, and we have a higher score, so we won. But this is not winning. So you started off with a different goal, to defeat India, to liberate Kashmir, and to take back the water, the Indus Water Treaty thing, which they have unilaterally withdrawn from. And then somehow mid of the war when Trump jumps in, and the whole discussion is that we are responsible citizens of the international community, and that's actually a problem. That is the problem which I want to address through this podcast.
The problem is we don't want to break international boundaries.
Yes, exactly. Our leaders are cowards. That's the problem.
But calling someone a coward because they're thinking for their whole country, as opposed to, look, I think that it's very, very hard for us to come in and say that Islam says this, and then we should put nation on the line for Islam's greater goal. No, look, because for
if you don't do that, just a second, Ahmad, that's a good point. If you don't do that, what are we worshipping? Are we worshipping Allah, or are we worshipping then utility and benefit and interest, self-interest?
So far, the race is winning from you for utilities and materialism.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So we as Muslims need to understand and again educate the Ummah that you either worship Allah and follow His commands only, or you think what is good, what can we save, how many people will get killed, and all those things. So this can't be the basis. You have to consider these things. So as I said, you're not mad. You don't go fighting without any armor.
Yeah, but the thing is that then you should have come into the discussion with that. We're basically shifting the goalposts because there's no reality in which you could logically argue, aside from a theological point of view, that we can win this war.
That's not a theological. No. I don't agree. It's not a theological point of view. It's wars are fought and won by the will of the people who are fighting it. And I'm again and again saying that Muslims, it's like an empirical reality, Muslims are the keener people who are keener to die. So they don't mind dying as much as the mushrikeen or the Yahud do.
And the Hindus believe that they'll get resurrected in the next life. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah, but fortunately for us and unfortunately for them, they're not ready to die. They're not as ready to fight historically even as Muslims are.
Bingo. Look at our army. Same thing.
No, not at our army. That's what I'm saying. Our army is actually, what is that? Iman, taqwa, jihad fi sabilillah. That's the motto of the army. That's what they are raised on. That's what they are trained for. And that's what they also used in this war through all the...
Why should we...
But the leaders are not.
Another thing. Why should we, jump so drastically to Islamic measures? If we're going to convert the country's foreign policy into an Islamic policy, then why not do it slowly? Why not first erase all of the,
So, okay, you ask why. So, because it's Muslims suffering in Kashmir. Because you have the butcher of Gujarat as the Prime Minister of India, who is threatening to dry out our waters because the headworks of those 6 rivers are in Kashmir, in occupied Kashmir.
Okay,
so these are the reasons. So it's actually, if you understand, it's a survival thing as well. So it's a survival thing for us. It's a survival thing for our brethren in Kashmir, in occupied Kashmir. So it's actually a compulsion.
So can we really win?
I think the last 3 days of war have really clarified that. This is actually what I'm trying to say. It should have been an unbelievable eureka moment for the Muslims, and it was celebrated across the world. So Azerbaijan, people coming out on the streets for Pakistan, chanting slogans. Bangladesh, same case. Turkey, same case. Even people like in Nepal were saying, give them a beating, give the Indians a beating, because of the rowdy role which they have been playing in this area.
So, do you really think that Pakistan can deal with the backlash? Is Pakistan strong enough, economically to deal with the backlash that comes from further pursuing this war?
What do we mean by backlash?
I mean, maybe some countries cut off trade with us under America.
So, I always say it could get tough. It will get tough for Muslims, but this is a price worth paying. Countries which have principles, they pay the price, they are ready to pay the price for those principles. So again, we have to make this decision. Are we really a country which is upright, have some principles, have some red lines and will defend it? Or are we just doing the bidding of
Well, then
USA
you're not
and
talking
India?
about Pakistan. Then you're not talking about Pakistan. You're talking about Muslims as a whole. Why don't the Saudi Arabians come and help us in liberating Kashmir?
I assure you, once the Muslims of Pakistan take a stand, the Muslims across the world would be gelled together.
Are you sure? The same place which has opened strip clubs and Muslims are now joining those, in the same place where Muslims are now, reverting en masse. Like, what's the goal here? Like Muslims don't have the same faith that they used to.
No.
It's not as pure as it was.
The things which you are mentioning, you need to understand, it's been done very systematically. So the ulama who dissent, the dissenting voices have been silent. They have been imprisoned in the hundreds in Saudi Arabia. The people they know the consequences of speaking out. And then you have some people, some youngsters who are influenced by these Western ideas, and they are being influenced while this is happening, while we are talking, by all the liberal policies which
God
the king is.
forbid they want freedom.
Yeah, again, as I said, there is a minority. You have that minority in Pakistan as well.
Sure.
So people.
It's not a minority though.
I'm very sure it's a minority. So it's really a minority. You need to understand Pakistan even. Pakistan's 70% population lives anyhow in rural areas, and they are really far, far away from these things at least. So they could have their own problems, their own challenges, but they are away from these liberal ideas. And in the cities, I mean, come on, Islamabad, the most liberal, so to say. You go here, you go and look at the admissions applications in, what's that school called?
Islamic University.
No, not Islamic University, the school run by Sister Farhat Hashmi. I forgot the name. So there is a huge Al-Huda. So Al-Huda, you can't get your children in. Why? Because there's maybe 100 applicants for each seat. Where are these people coming from? These are people from Islamabad. They have this Islamic emotion, and that's why you see such things.
Sure. So I guess that wraps it up for today. I mean, we hail our Chief of Army Staff as a hero for this, and
I don't
if he
think so.
wants to-
No.
What?
Why do you think we should hail him?
Because
he fought and he won.
Because the army was won through his leadership.
So
The army was under his leadership.
What about if we say that the army won despite his leadership, and actually we lost the war, or we committed the ceasefire and everything because of his leadership? So you need to understand what stance did he accept the ceasefire based on? So was it something related to were Muslims being killed and he said, okay, we can't take this loss? What was it? It was actually because he accepted the supremacy of the international world order, of the international community, of particularly Trump. So this is actually extremely un-Islamic. And if the Ummah would see it with this angle and these eyes, they would understand that he's actually not a hero. Doing such a thing is betrayal. So we had a golden opportunity. We had a golden opportunity in 1948 when our tribal area brothers went as Mujahideen, fought there, took half of Kashmir, and the remaining, they were in Srinagar. They were on Srinagar airport, and they were called back. So we lost that opportunity. Then we had another opportunity, particularly in 1999 when we had those Kargil heights and we had this position. And then again, America intervened and we were called back, and we gave up so many Muslim lives, and we gave up the opportunity to take Kashmir. And something similar has happened again days ago. So I think this is actually worst kind of betrayal that happened, if you ask me.
So we shouldn't in any way relate him to the victory.
I don't think so. I mean, we shouldn't relate him to the victory. We should relate him to the
loss,
to the loss and to the ceasefire very clearly.
Okay. I mean, that kind of wraps it up for today.
That's true.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good.
Assalamu alaikum.